What if I told you the most devastating move isn't loud, it's silent? Not a war of words, not an emotional breakdown. Just stillness, just space, just the vacuum you leave behind. They expected your fire, they were prepared for your fight, but they never saw your silence coming. What if I told you, detachment is not running away, it's rising above, that walking away without a word can dismantle someone more than 1,000 arguments ever could? The truth is, people don't fear being hated. They fear being irrelevant, forgotten, ghosted by someone who once gave them access to your mind, your time, your soul. And now, they have nothing, not even closure. You see, your presence once gave them life. Your attention fed their illusions. But when you step back, fully, quietly, you force them to face a reality they've been running from, that the power they thought they had was borrowed from you. No closure, no last words, just absence. That's not cruelty, it's strategy. Stoicism isn't apathy, it's mastery. It's standing above the chaos while they drown in it. It's cutting the cord not with bitterness but with complete indifference, because true power isn't proven, it's felt. And silence? That's when they feel it most. So I'll ask again. What if I told you that your silence is the sharpest weapon in your arsenal? Comment this now if you feel it. My silence speaks louder than my presence. Say it again and mean it. Now watch what happens when you stop speaking and start disappearing. Number 1, psychological distance as power. Control doesn't begin with domination, it begins with distance. The moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop answering, you sever their control. You see, most people are addicted to the power they think they have over your emotions. Every reply you give feeds them, every argument sustains them. But the moment you choose to stay silent, you don't just walk away physically, you disappear from their psychological battlefield, and that's when the collapse begins. When someone can no longer predict you, access you, or affect you, they fall into mental disarray. They start creating stories to explain your silence. They panic, they obsess. That's the curse of those who manipulate. They never prepare for silence, because silence forces introspection. And most people would rather live a lie than confront their own reflection. But you are not here to entertain weakness. Psychological distance is your armor. You detach not to escape, but to dominate. Not out of fear, but from control. The Stoics taught us to rule ourselves first, and once you own your inner world, no one can rent space inside your mind without your permission. So stop explaining, stop defending, stop giving access to people who deserve your absence more than your presence. Let them guess, let them spiral, detach quietly. Let their mind collapse without you. Comment this now if you're ready to master your distance. My absence teaches what my presence could not. Say it with intention, say it with power. Number 2, the illusion of importance. Let's strip away the fantasy. You weren't important to them. You were convenient. You were a mirror, a supply, a distraction. Not because you lacked value, but because they lacked the depth to recognize it. Here's the bitter truth. They never truly saw you. They only saw what they could extract from you. Your attention was validation. Your love was a resource. Your patience, an opportunity to manipulate. They never bonded with your soul. They bonded with their ability to control it. And you? You stayed, hoping that loyalty would buy clarity, that your effort would inspire change, that if you just explained better, gave more, they'd finally see you. But parasites don't appreciate their host until it's gone. Understand this. The illusion of importance is their greatest weapon. They made you believe you mattered, so you'd stay hooked. So you'd tolerate the disrespect, so you'd internalize their behavior and question your own worth. But now you see clearly. Now you see that being needed is not the same as being valued. Being desired is not the same as being respected. Being chased is not the same as being cherished. They wanted your presence, not your peace. Your body, not your boundaries. Your energy, not your elevation. And that's why you must detach. Because when you walk away, the illusion collapses, not just for them, but for you. You stop chasing ghosts. You stop romanticizing pain. You start reclaiming every ounce of power you handed over in moments of desperation. You weren't too much. You were just enough for someone who was never ready. Let that be their burden, not yours. You were never the problem. You were the mirror. Now be the silence. Let them feel the vacuum of your energy. Let them drown in the absence of what they once dismissed. Detach quietly and let their mind collapse without you. Comment this if you've broken the illusion. I was never too much. They were too small. Say it again. Let it burn through the fog. You are not what they saw. You are what they'll never have again. Number 3, controlled emotion is dominance. Emotion isn't weakness, but uncontrolled emotion, that's how they trap you. They push your buttons, they bait you, they twist your tone, your reactions, your fire, and then they call you unstable. Understand this: the one who controls their emotion controls the room. The moment you learn to feel everything but reveal nothing, you become untouchable. They can provoke you, insult you, ignore you, but if your face stays calm and your voice never cracks, you win. Because power isn't about speaking louder. It's about needing to say less. Your control unsettles them. Your peace irritates them. Your silence, it's a mirror reflecting back their chaos. Don't let them pull you into the fire they created. Don't let their noise awaken your storm. They want you impulsive, reactive, predictable. Stoics knew this centuries ago. True strength isn't found in rage, but in restraint. You think you're strong when you explode. You're strongest when you don't need to. That's when you become dangerous, because now you operate on your terms. Now you don't flinch. You calculate, you observe, you strike only if necessary, and always with precision. That kind of control, it's magnetic, it's unnerving. It commands respect or fear, often both. You don't show them how hurt you are. You show them how little they matter. You don't scream for clarity. You move in silence and let the void answer their questions. You don't announce your worth. You become the loss they never recover from. This is what happens when you master your emotions. You stop being manipulated. You stop being predictable. You become a storm contained in human form. So when they try to provoke you, smile. Because nothing shatters a manipulator faster than realizing they have no effect. Comment this now if you've chosen power over reaction. I feel everything, but I show nothing. Let that be your edge. Let that be your control. Let that be your silence. Detach quietly and let their mind collapse without you. Number 4, ghosting is a strategy, not a weakness. Let's kill the narrative. They told you ghosting is cowardly, immature, toxic. That's a lie they crafted to keep you accessible, to shame your silence, to keep you explaining, overextending, defending, while they sit back and study your emotions like a game board. But here's the truth. Ghosting, when done with purpose, not pettiness, is a weapon. It's not escape, it's strategy. You disappear not to avoid the fire, but to stop feeding it. You don't owe an explanation to someone who used your honesty as leverage. You don't owe closure to someone who only opened doors to watch you fall through them. They weren't confused. They weren't unaware. They knew exactly what they were doing when they disrespected you. They knew the weight of every lie, every manipulation, every guilt trip. So why offer them a grand finale? You don't. You leave, not loudly, not bitterly, but silently, like the storm they didn't see coming. And that silence, that vanishing act, it's surgical, it's cold, and it's necessary. Because when you ghost, you give them something they can't distort, nothing. No reaction to spin, no words to twist. Just a void. And here's what most don't understand. That void becomes a prison. They replay every moment searching for signs. They obsess over why you're gone. They scramble for control in a space you've already evacuated. You see, closure is a luxury, not a right, especially for those who only wanted to keep you close enough to use you, but far enough to never commit. So don't explain, don't respond, don't circle back. You're not a lesson they get to study. You're a consequence they have to live with. And make no mistake, they will feel it. Maybe not immediately. Maybe they'll laugh at first, pretend they don't care, act unbothered. But weeks later, in the silence, in the echo of your absence, that's where the collapse begins. Because silence is louder than words when it comes from someone who used to pour life into them. You used to give, now you're gone, and nothing they do can bring you back. That's power. Quiet, haunting power. You don't ghost to prove anything. You ghost because their energy is no longer worth the price of your presence. You ghost because peace isn't something you negotiate. It's something you protect. Let them talk. Let them smear. Let them rewrite history. But you stay gone. You stay silent. You stay sovereign. Comment this now if you understand the weapon. Ghosting is my boundary in action. Let the world believe what it wants. Let them invent stories to feel better about their loss. But deep down, they'll always know who left and why. Detach quietly. Let their mind collapse without you. Number 5, turning pain into precision. Pain is not your enemy. Emotionally weak minds run from pain. Strategic minds? They refine it into precision. When they betrayed you, mocked your loyalty, fed off your weakness, you didn't break. You felt, you bled, but now you sharpen. Every tear, every silent scream in your chest, every night you couldn't breathe. That wasn't the end. That was the forge. You are no longer hurt. You are aware. You see, pain has two paths. It either drowns you or it disciplines you. And when you walk the Stoic path, you choose the latter. You don't numb it, you don't escape it, you study it, you dissect it like a surgeon, you analyze your triggers, your patterns, your tolerances. You ask yourself not, why did they do this to me? But, why did I stay? What part of me tolerated that? What wound was I protecting by allowing disrespect to feel like love? You get surgical with your past. You take every betrayal and break it down into data. Cold, logical, strategic. Now you move differently. You don't chase validation. You study behavior. You don't fall for words. You track consistency. You don't respond to disrespect. You disappear. Pain taught you that silence is not passive. It's precise. When someone violates your boundaries, you don't need to teach them a lesson. You just leave. You become the lesson. Your emotional discipline becomes lethal. You walk into rooms not looking for love, but observing quietly, detached, scanning patterns, not out of fear, but from training. The past sharpened your edges. Now every scar is a signal. Every ache is armor. Every memory, fuel. You've stopped asking, why did this happen? And you've started saying thank you for revealing yourself. That's Stoic dominance. Because real strength is not the absence of pain, it's the transformation of it. You are no longer emotionally reckless, you are psychologically engineered, calm on the outside, ruthless in your boundaries, and surgical in your exits. Comment this if your pain has made you precise. My scars are my strategy. Say it like a vow. Because that pain you once hated, it didn't destroy you. It designed you. Detach quietly and let their mind collapse without you. Number 6, let them chase the echo. They thought you'd always be there. that no matter how many times they withdrew, you'd deposit more time, more love, more forgiveness. But you're not a well. You're not an infinite supply of second chances. You are a vault now, and that access, it's revoked. You didn't leave with fireworks. You left with silence, not because you were weak, but because you realized your presence was a privilege, one they never earned. And now they chase the echo. Not you, the memory of you, the shadow you left behind. The version of you that stayed through chaos, gave without asking, forgave without being healed. But you're no longer that person. They chase a ghost that no longer exists. They scream into the silence, hoping it replies. They replay every word you said, searching for signs, but all they get is echo. You don't respond. You don't defend. You let them wrestle with the empty room you left behind. You see, some people only recognize value in absence. They confuse attention for worth until it's gone, and once it's gone, they crumble under their own illusions. Let them. Let them spiral. Let them overthink. Let them choke on the silence they once used to hurt you. That's your revenge, without lifting a finger. You are not returning. You are not clarifying. You are not available, because you're no longer invested in who they were to you. You're invested in who you are becoming. Let them feel the weight of your absence. Let them chase the warmth you used to provide, only to find cold echoes and locked doors. You've detached. And now they're addicted to the void, not because you hurt them, but because they never imagined you'd really leave. Because their control didn't account for your evolution. You see, people don't fear losing you when they think you'll come back. They fear you when they know you're gone. Comment this if you've left them chasing echoes. Let them miss the version of me they destroyed. Say it, hold it, become it. Because the echo they chase, it's not your burden anymore. Detach quietly and let their mind collapse without you. Number 7, the void teaches what presence never could. Presence is often taken for granted, especially when it's consistent, especially when it's pure, especially when it's yours. You gave them the realest parts of yourself, the loyalty they didn't earn, the time they didn't value, the forgiveness they never asked for. And what did they do? They mistook consistency for weakness, kindness for naivety, access for entitlement. But here's what they never understood. You weren't afraid to walk away. You were choosing to stay. And now, that choice is gone, and all they're left with is void. And that void is not empty. It's a teacher. A ruthless, echoing teacher that repeats one lesson over and over again. You had something real, and you destroyed it. They'll try to distract themselves, pretend they never cared, pretend it didn't matter. But the silence is surgical. It cuts through every layer of denial, every false narrative, every lie they built to feel in control. Because silence doesn't let them rewrite history. It forces them to sit with it. And trust me, they will sit with it, in the quiet moments, when no one's around, when the noise fades and the mask slips. They'll feel it, they'll hear it. That void will scream louder than any words ever could. And here's the power in that. While they're haunted by your absence, you're building in peace. You're becoming untouchable, focused, sharp, evolved. They lost the version of you that cared. They buried it in their ego and disrespect. And now they mourn the ghost of a person they never truly saw. Let them, because this is where you rise. You no longer explain yourself to the unworthy. You no longer beg to be understood. You no longer offer closure to people who fed off your confusion. You just go quiet, and you grow. And in your absence, everything they denied becomes undeniable. They said you were dramatic. Now they miss your intensity. They said you were too emotional. Now they miss the way you felt. They said you were clingy. Now they can't stop checking if you've moved on. You see, presence can be manipulated. But absence tells the truth. When you're gone and the chaos is still there, they realize You weren't the problem. You were the peace. Let that sink in. Let that marinate in the silence you leave behind. No last message, no farewell, just void. And that void will whisper things you never had to say. This is what life looks like without me. This is the truth they never expected to face. That your silence is not just silence. It's proof that you were the calm in the storm, the strength they fed from, the presence they never deserved. And now you're not coming back. Not because you hate them, but because you love yourself more. Comment this if you've embraced the power of the void. My silence reveals everything they tried to hide. Let them miss the light they tried to dim. Let them sit with the echo they can't silence. You don't teach them with anger. You don't teach them with closure. You teach them with distance, with peace, with absence, because the void teaches what your presence never could. Detach quietly and let their mind collapse without you. Number 8, become the standard. They can't reach anymore. You don't just walk away, you elevate. And in doing so, you become the standard they'll measure everyone else against and never reach again. Understand this. You were never replaceable. They just never thought you'd leave. They confused your patience for permanence, your forgiveness for foolishness, your loyalty for dependence. But now you're gone. And what's left behind is not just silence. It's a legacy. A version of you that will echo in their life forever, not because you want to haunt them, but because no one else will ever touch them the way you did, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You were substance in a world addicted to surface. You were depth in a generation that fears it. You were real, in a reality built on games and masks. And now they're stuck in that same shallow world, trying to replace an experience that can't be replicated. They'll look for you in bodies, in texts, in distractions. They'll search for your energy in eyes that don't understand them, in voices that don't challenge them, in touches that don't ignite them. But it won't be you. It'll never be you. Because when someone loses a person who meant it, a person who showed up without games, without manipulation, without agenda, that loss isn't temporary, it's permanent. You are no longer a chapter in their story. You're the book they'll keep rereading, trying to find where it all fell apart. And no matter how far they run, how many people they cycle through, they'll always come back to the same realization. You were the standard, the one who saw them before they knew who they were, the one who gave without conditions, the one who stayed longer than you should have. And when you finally left, you did it with dignity, with class, with silence. That silence screams louder than 1,000 closure conversations. It tells them, I'm not angry, I'm not bitter, I'm just beyond reach. That's the part that destroys them, not your absence, but the finality of it. Because now they know, no matter how hard they try, no matter what they say or do, they can't access the place in you they once abused. You've outgrown the version of yourself that tolerated them. Now you walk differently, you speak less, you expect more, and you attract better. Because when you elevate from pain, you don't just heal, you evolve, you refine. You become the one that got away and the one they'll never get back. Comment this if you've become the standard. I am the peace they will never know again. Say it and mean it, because this isn't about ego. It's about evolution. You've moved from chaos to clarity, from reaction to silence, from survival to sovereignty, and now, from this new height, you watch them struggle to breathe in the space you used to occupy so effortlessly. But you don't reach down. You don't lower your standard. You let them remember. You let them long, detach quietly, and let their mind collapse without you. Number 9, you are the ending they never prepared for. They thought you'd never leave. They pushed limits, played games, tested your silence. Because deep down they believed you'd always come back, but you didn't. You didn't slam doors, you didn't shout, you vanished, with no warning, no performance, no begging, and that's what shattered them. You became the ending they never saw coming, the story they thought they controlled, now closed without their permission. They prepared for a reaction. They braced for confrontation. But what they weren't ready for was your indifference. You didn't leave to hurt them. You left to heal you. No explanations, no final messages, no dramatic closure, just the cold silence of someone who finally chose peace over patterns. And now, they sit in the aftermath, haunted by what they didn't value until it was gone. You're no longer accessible, no longer an option. You're the standard they can't reach, the consequence they can't manipulate, the peace they can't poison again. Your absence is louder than any goodbye. Your stillness, unforgettable. They will search for you in others and never find you again. You didn't just leave, you ascended. Comment this: I am the ending they never prepared for. Say it, believe it, own it, because while they collapse, you rise. Detach quietly and let their mind collapse without you.